the coming of the Antichrist. Hello everyone, Dan Mason here. Let's explore another issue in our current events together, the rise of the Antichrist. The Antichrist stands as a key figure in Bible prophecy. People have debated his identity for centuries. The Bible paints him as a deceiver who opposes God. He rises in the end times. Scriptures describe his power and kingdom. They link him to the beast. Theologians tie him to historical leaders. Some see echoes in modern politics. This essay explores these points with Bible verses and expert views. The Bible mentions the Antichrist in several places. John writes in 1 John 2:18, "Children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard that Antichrist is coming, so now many Antichrists have come." He adds in 1 John 2:22, "Who is the liar, but he who denies that Jesus is the Christ? This is the Antichrist, he who denies the Father and the Son." In 1 John 4:3 he says, "Every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming, and now is in the world already." John warns in 2 John 1:7, "For many deceivers have gone out into the world, those who do not confess the coming of Jesus Christ in the flesh. Such a one is the deceiver and the Antichrist." Paul speaks of him in 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4 as the man of lawlessness. He states, "Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God." Jesus notes false Christs in Matthew 24:24. He says, "For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect." The beast ties closely to the Antichrist. Revelation 13:1-2 pictures him. John sees a beast rising out of the sea, with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns, and blasphemous names on its heads. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard, its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it, the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority. Revelation 13:3 adds, "One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast." The beast gets worship in Revelation 13:4. People say, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" Revelation 13:5-8 describes his rule. He speaks haughty and blasphemous words for 42 months. He makes war on the saints and conquers them. All whose names are not in the book of life worship him. Daniel links to this. Daniel 7:7-8 shows a fourth beast with 10 horns. He says, "It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things." Daniel 7:19-25 explains more. The fourth beast crushes all. The little horn speaks against the Most High and wears out the saints for a time, times, and half a time. The Antichrist kingdom involves 10 nations. Daniel 7:24 says, "As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings." Revelation 17:12 echoes this. The 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings, who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour, together with the beast. Theologians see the 10 horns as kings or nations from a revived Roman Empire. John Walvoord calls them a 10-nation confederacy under the Antichrist. Some link this to the European Union. It started with 10 members in 1981. Now it has 27. Prophecy watchers say it points to a future 10-nation bloc in Europe. David Jeremiah notes that Europe plays a role in the end times. He ties the EU to preparations for the Antichrist. The 3 nations plucked up a stirring debate. Daniel 7:8 and 7:20 say the little horn uproots 3 horns. Theologians differ on which ones. Some say they are modern nations that the Antichrist subdues. Arnold Fruchtenbaum suggests Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. Others see historical ties. In Seleucid times, 3 kings fell before Antiochus IV, a type of Antichrist. Futurists say the 3 represent powers opposing the Antichrist's rise. He removes them to consolidate rule. The Antichrist rises through cunning. Daniel 8:25 says, "By his cunning he shall make deceit prosper under his hand, and in his own mind he shall become great." He starts small but grows. Daniel 11:21-23 adds, "In his place shall arise a contemptible person to whom royal majesty has not been given. He shall come in without warning and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. He requires worship." Revelation 13:15 says his image speaks and kills non-worshippers. He demands the mark in Revelation 13:16-17. No one buys or sells without it. His character shows pride. Daniel 7:25 notes he changes times and law. He denies Christ. He exalts himself as God in 2 Thessalonians 2:4. Greg Laurie calls him the man of sin, full of deceit. Views on his origin vary. Some say he is Assyrian or Syrian. Isaiah 10:5-6 calls Assyria the rod of God's anger. Walid Shubat links Isaiah 14 to an Assyrian Antichrist. Micah 5:5-6 says, "When the Assyrian comes into our land, we will raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 princes of men." Others argue he is Jewish. Early church fathers thought he came from the tribe of Dan. Genesis 49:17 says, "Dan shall be a serpent in the way." But many reject this. Thomas Ice says Daniel shows a non-Jewish Antichrist. Tim LaHaye agrees he is a Gentile, likely Roman. He fulfills some prophecies but twists others. Daniel 2:41-43 speaks of the iron and clay kingdom. The Antichrist rules a divided empire like this. On Muhammad, some see parallels. Joel Richardson calls the Islamic Mahdi the Antichrist, but most theologians disagree. The Antichrist mimics the Jewish Messiah. He deceives Israel. In John 5:43, Jesus says, "I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, you will receive him." He performs lying wonders. 2 Thessalonians 2:9-10 says, "The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing." Revelation 13:13-14 adds, "It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth." These signs heal his wound and animate his image. Historical leaders mirror him. Nero persecuted Christians. People called him the Beast. Hitler drew Antichrist labels for his evil. Napoleon and Stalin faced similar claims. Today, some compare Donald Trump. But at this point, Europe is seeking its own Trump. Nationalists push France first or Europe first. Leaders like Marine Le Pen or Viktor Orban echo this. The Antichrist culminates these trends. He unites 10 nations in a confederacy. Europe combines for power. This fits prophecy. Bible believers watch these signs. The Antichrist brings tribulation, but God wins in the end. Revelation 19:20 says the beast gets thrown into the lake of fire. Christ returns to rule. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support this channel.